Welcome back to Jerome B Farm and Homestead. I apologize in advance for the quality of this video. I'm using my iPhone. My new GoPro Hero 7 is at the bottom of Arbuckle Lake. So Hayden and I went fishing a week ago, well, last Friday, a while back, and we were making us a fishing video. And I had it mounted on my hat, and we went to take off to a new location, and I took my hat off, set it down on the console so it wouldn't blow off my head, and off we went. And Hayden looks over at me and says, "Pop, I think your hat blew out." So we spun around, went back, and didn't find it. So I got a new one on order. So there goes all my May revenue and then some. So anyway, let's do a quick vlog update here on what's going on. It is June 22nd, so second day of summer, and just kind of walk around real quick here. So I've showed you this. Oh, I gotta figure out how to work this thing. How do you flip? And our peach trees have making some peaches. This one here, not so much, but on over here, and we just got a bunch of rain. So you see the water standing in the trees. So I spent all day mowing this whole place and trying to beat the rain. I can see the gauge over there. Looks like we got over 2 inches. These fruit trees here didn't produce anything. Check out these sunflowers. They're kind of angled down. Those grew up out of the compost. And yesterday we got the chicken coop cleaned out. So that's a good thing. Here's one of our peach trees. So we got some peaches on there. I don't know if they're gonna be any good because we haven't sprayed or anything because we have the bees. There's a peach tree behind the chicken coop over there that it's got quite a few on it. And a lot of you have told me what these things are called: hollyhocks. So instead of cockaburs, and that one is really pretty. Sound like somebody's laid an egg. Man, look at all the water standing in there. So that's one thing that I would have done different when I made this garden. I would have made a path out for the water to get past here, because downhill is this direction. So when we get a heavy rain, water stands in there. So it's probably going to rot the boards out faster than what they normally would have. So with all the rain we've been having, the flowers have been doing well. And the garden is really kicking it in. Wow, 2.5 inches, or 2.25. So that was this morning. So let's head on in there. Have to walk around on the edges. So we pulled up the old onions, and I don't know if they'll be any good. We haven't tore into them yet. So here we got some carrots and volunteer sunflowers, and the bug's been getting them. I got a couple worms off there last night, so hopefully I got them. And this is lettuce and cucumbers. So since the last update, I've put this panel up, and the cucumbers will vine right up that, and that'll give them more space. Over here's our onion sets, and there's some peppers, a couple peppers growing down the middle. Now that big weed looking thing there, I think it's a clover variety. I'm not sure which. I think it's a red clover. But we're trying to get that growing wild out here for the bees. There's another variety right here. I'm not sure what that is. And here's our green beans, which one of them turned out to be a pole bean, I guess, a vining type. So I put those little panels in there, but these down here are bush variety. And there's another bunch of green beans right there. So none of those are the climbing type there. And there's green beans in there need to be picked right now. And this is celery, I understand, from what I'm told. And I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but there's some growing in there. And there's a couple broccoli plants that are all ate up from bugs. And our corn crop is looking awesome. So we did have a storm that blew it all down, and we strung a string through there on the bottoms of it. I don't know if you can see it. And straightened them all back up. And they seem to be growing fairly straight for the most part. So I think they'll fertilize okay. And here's the tomatoes. Lots of blooms on there. And there's a tomato right down there. And there's a few in here. I'm trying to walk a balance beam here and do this with the camera in my hand. There's a bunch of tomatoes right there. So our tomatoes are doing much better than last year. It helped to get them planted in May versus June. That makes a big difference. And there's some more nice looking hollyhocks slash cockleburrs. And down there in the bottom is chives. And there's some more broccoli that's ate up by the bugs. And here are our squash. I've been spraying the squash beetles on these, keeping them under control. I checked it last night, there were no beetles. And I harvested 4 of these squash off of here. Nice big ones. And we've been using Dawn dish soap in water to kill those squash bugs. More beans here. And peppers. And right here's where our onions were that we pulled up, the overwintered onions. And beets. And sunflowers. All these sunflowers, we didn't plant them. They come up from volunteer seed from last year. Okay, let's go on around the outside. So the butterfly vining, whatever that is heading up high. It is over there on the other side too. Looks like it's got a red flower on it. Not sure what that is. That's different than what we had last year. Last year we had a passion flower. I think that's what this here is. There's the old standby comfrey. Bumblebees, I've noticed, really like these comfrey flowers. They get on there and nothing else really gets on those flowers except bumblebees that I've seen. And when they get kind of big, I'll cut off these side shoots and take them over, and the chickens really love that comfrey. And here's my jet star. This yesterday was all Johnson grass, was grown up way up high. You couldn't hardly see it, and I got my trimmer out and trimmed it all up. So I don't know if this is determinate or indeterminate. It doesn't look like it's going to vine out on me, but it doesn't look like a bush tomato either. So I don't know if I'll need to get a cage or something on that or not. I could probably read that little tag there and it'd tell me. Chickens are doing excellent. Excellent. We're getting about 6 eggs a day from the lighter colored ones there, the Orpingtons. These golden sex links, the red ones, they ought to start laying in about a month. So I gave them some grain last night. It's all full of water. Hear thunder rumbling in the background. There's another storm coming from back that direction. So yesterday when I was mowing and I weed-eated out this entire fence row, it was about 2 foot tall. Got all the grass off the fence. And these peaches over here, they're a little different variety. They're already turning kind of red. They're getting close to being ripe. So there's some good looking peaches. I tore some of the rotten ones off and threw them in there to the chickens. Yeah, you can see that little hole right there. And this one here is half rotten. You can see where I did the dirt work about 4 weeks ago. The Bermuda is starting to take hold, which is a good thing, and it's not washing again. And in the last video, this Johnson grass here was about 4 feet high, and I came in here with my brush cutter. Brush cutter's a carbide tip saw blade on the end of a weed eater, and it makes short work of that Johnson grass. A lot faster than a string trimmer. Looks a lot nicer up here. I cleared out some of these branches that were overhanging right in here, so now I can get my mower down it, and I mowed the dam off. Okay, this is the north side of the bee yard, and all of these hives are doing really well. This hive right here, 27, that's the huge swarm, and it has a completely full honey super, and the one on the top, they're working on that. So gonna be at least 40 pounds of honey come from that one. And these 5 here are in various states of filling their supers up. I think a couple of those are fairly full. This one right here, oh, there, it has a deep on the top. So that's Hayden's hive, and I'm using Hayden's hive to bank deep frames with honey until I'm ready to harvest. So if it'll ever stop raining, I will get in here and get down in these bottom boxes that are like really full, close to honey bound, and I'll pull 1, maybe 2 frames out of the bottoms of these and harvest that. So I have not fed sugar water to my bees in 2 years. So all of my honey is pure good stuff. No sugar water contamination in it at all. So it ought to be really good. This is the south side. Hives 1 through 19 over here. Hive number 1 right there is it was downsized, it's not doing real well. And hive number 5 right there is not doing real well. So that's the only 2 hives I have that seems to be older queens, and they just need to phase out and do what's called a supersedure, where that queen will just wander off and go off into the bee pasture, and the bees that are remaining in there will make a new queen from an egg that she's laid. So I haven't been in those in 2 weeks. I need to check on them and see. The other weaker hive I had right here was number 17, and it was a nuke. And yesterday I just moved it into a 10 frame deep. So they were queenless, and I was doing an inspection on 20 and 21. 21 had a queen, but I found another one in there, and the bees were killing that queen. So 21 is right over there, the second one in. And that's a really strong hive. And that's one that I split because it was swarming. So you can see some of these like there and there, and the one right behind back in there, and here, and here. 2 honey supers. That means the bottom one was full. So you can add that up. That's 40 pounds of super. And I did kind of went through here and took kind of a little survey of what they all look like, and I have about 300 pounds of honey on the hives right now, and a lot of it's uncapped, and that's if they haven't ate a lot of it since I did that. We've had a lot of rain, and the nectar flow is coming to an end. So that's the bee yard. Oh, we had another little happening here. So one of the last storms we had, the kids' little swing I had on the tree, the limb finally gave out, and the only reason I left it there and let them play on it, because I knew from the looks of the limb that it was not going to be a fast thing that happened. And you can see it's still connected there. It just slowly rotted out. I don't know why. But anyway, that limb was on the corner of this tree house here, and I had to add that post because it started to sag. But it finally went out. So we got to get this cleaned up. I'm just kind of leaving it here for now. Waiting for a nice day that's it's not too hot and not too cold, but just right. Yeah, I'm procrastinating. Doesn't that fescue look nice when it's just been mowed? Fescue is some pretty grass. It's hard to keep thick though. I'll be reseeding this again in the fall. This is its 2nd year. So we moved the kids' swing over here to this tree. It looks pretty solid. And they've been using it over here. Hey, puppy. Hey, Dayton.
Hello.
We got grandkids visiting. So that's it for the update. It's like the rainiest season that I could remember for a long time. But anyway, not much more to say about it. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you've got any suggestions for videos you'd like to see, let me know, and I'll see if I can work that in. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care.